Hello guys and welcome back, all 2,731 subscribers. We are back for the second half of the season and we're going to kick this off with Zhou Guanyu having some choice words about British media. I've been meaning to talk about British bias for a while and this is my second excuse to talk about British bias. We're going to talk about my first excuse. So, on Motorsport Week, Zhou highlighted prejudice amid comparisons to Behrmann's F1 graduation. And it goes on to talk about how essentially, even though Zhou finished third in the Drivers' Championship in F2 and won 4 races, he is still seen as a pay driver. However, Oliver Behrmann, in particular, only has 1 win to his name and is currently 15th in this. I'm trying not to laugh when I say this. And Oliver Behrmann is currently 15th in the standings, whilst also driving for Prema, and is somehow revered as some sort of savior for F1, the next coming. Even Kimi Antonelli, who's gotten even more hype. I've said this before. He just doesn't deserve. There is nothing in F2 to warrant Kimi Antonelli's hype. What people have been doing for Kimi Antonelli is essentially trying their best to force a Max Verstappen edge on him. They're trying to make him into some sort of Max Verstappen clone. You know the way Max came into Formula One so young, at like 17 years old, and then he just went on to be so quick so early on. And Mercedes are pushing this narrative hard, especially since they missed out on Max Verstappen at the time because of their contracts with Nico and Lewis. It seems like there has been all of this pressure for someone that clearly doesn't have, at least in F2, which is the highest racing level he's ever raced in so far. Kimi Antonelli does not show to be a world beater like Max Verstappen so far. And I would go as far as to say that if he were to jump into that Mercedes seat, George would murder his career. George would take him off of the face of the earth. Because if he doesn't, then they're going to start treating Kimi Antonelli like the number one. The same way they switched over from Daniel Ricciardo to Max Verstappen. And George is going to feel that heat pretty quick. And he's not going to like the dynamic in the team. Because he had to wait years to get that Mercedes seat. And now Lewis is leaving and they're immediately trying to find someone that will supersede him in the future. As far as Behrmann goes, okay, let's cut to the chase. British bias is a plague that has been staining the sport for ages. And this season, I really wanted to bring it up during the Fernando Alonso Melbourne incident, but I think now is probably just as good a time. To this day, I kid you not, I wake up some days and whenever I think about Formula One, I genuinely wonder what was going through the stewards' minds when they gave Fernando Alonso a 10-second penalty. Or, sorry, a 20-second penalty. Can we all acknowledge that was bullshit? That was nonsense. That penalty was crazy. And not to be that guy, even though I am a Lewis fan, what Lewis was pulling off in Miami, in the sprint race, in the actual race, if I'm correct, both of them were... They were way worse than what Fernando Alonso ever did to George Russell in Melbourne. But for some reason, Lewis was barely investigated. It seems like the British media has infected more than just the media. Now it's about, okay, if someone's British, they're just gonna have an easy ride. Anytime a British driver is coming through, they're treated like they're the next coming, the next Lewis Hamilton, the next Max Verstappen, when that clearly isn't the case. If Oliver Behrmann was from Paraguay, do you honestly think there would be half as much hype for this guy? And I think Oliver Behrmann's really talented. I really do. But the hype he's getting when other drivers, like Zhou has mentioned, himself included, have been absolutely destroyed on their way to F1, when really and truly, if Behrmann had Zhou's resume in F2, he would be looked at even more favorably than Zhou is. The same way people were saying that Zhou only got into F1 because of money, I would say that the only reason Behrmann might be able to get into F1 is because of he's British. If Behrmann was from Paraguay, there is no way he would touch an F1 steering wheel. There is no way. Not with 15th in the standings. 15th. 15th in the standings. And he's some sort of F1 prodigy. Are we taking a piss? Are we actually going crazy? I'm trying my best to keep my cool this video. And this is going to be a really short one because there isn't much to say on it. If you're British, you're going to get a free ride. If you're British, you're going to get more of a free ride in terms of penalties. If you're British, the media will handle you, especially Sky Sports. Sky Sports will handle you like you are about to save the nation. But yeah, I just wanted to draw some attention to what Zhou said because what he said is very potent. And I think it's nice that the drivers know. Obviously, we've seen Fernando Alonso remark on this quite a lot, actually a crazy amount. In fact, he never stops talking about the fact that because he's Spanish, he can't do anything. But it is nice to see like other drivers like Zhou, and I'm sure even the British drivers will know that they probably have got it a little bit easier media-wise and decision-wise because they are British. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think British bias is a thing? Do you guys think British bias doesn't exist? Is British bias ruining the sport? Is it ruining the media portrayal of the sport? All these different things. Is British bias infecting the way that the penalties are given out? You guys tell me as we come into the second half of the season.